Sandy died at the beach at the beginning of the movie. Greece's darkest secret that everyone pretty much already knows at the end of the day. So let's talk about it. Grease is not a story about young love. It depicts young love, but it might be a story about letting go. Because what if Sandy never made it off that beach in Australia, right? What if everything after the opening scene, the music, the colors, romance, all that, is not reality at all, but a dream stitched together in the final moments of her life? Because everything is so exaggerated, which is why a lot of people are turned off by this movie because they get offended by certain things, but that's the point. It's so exaggerated for the dummies that don't realize it's not really happening. Because Grease doesn't end like a movie, it ends like an Ascension, right? The red car at the end doesn't drive away. It flies. Dude, that doesn't happen, especially in the 50s or whenever, the 70s, whatever. And no one questions this. No one questions that the fucking car flies in the air and everyone's so offended about fucking dudes offending girls and girls just taking it when it's like, bro, first off, it's so unrealistic to be triggered by that shit because that's not what's happening nowadays. You're choosing to be upset about something that has nothing to do with you. And it's hyperbolic. So it's dreamlike. It's supposed to be exaggerated and unreal. And this is all from Sandy's perspective. So she's dreaming it, okay? It's not like a dude is like making the dude say this. She's dreaming this up. Like she's dying. My point is, don't enable your traumas and then project them onto the movie or any movie at that, just for you to not even enjoy your time watching the movie. Because now you've messed up the experience of watching it for yourself because you're triggered by something that happened in the 50s. Hey, you weren't alive in the 50s, but hit that like and subscribe. And I'm not saying you can't be triggered by timepieces because I can easily get triggered by a slavery movie. But slavery still impacts me. A dude from the 50s saying, oh, take that off, is not impacting you right now. So it's not the same. History is terrible. So any piece that's based on another time period is going to trigger you. So coming into it with the mentality that, oh, they said this, that's triggering. No, because if I fucking turn on a slavery movie, it's like, what do you expect? Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you're seeing. It's about the message behind why the movie was made. And you miss that when you come in with that face value mentality. All in all, it's meant to be hyperbolic. Don't get triggered. It's not that triggering. I'm kind of dragging it. But if you like what you're hearing, hit that like and let's get back to this because I'm about to break down this theory that Sandy died at the very beginning of this Grease movie and everything that follows is a fantasy. Now, don't forget, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, the beach, this is where the story begins and ends. The very first scene of Grease feels different from the rest of the film. Soft lighting, gentle waves, a slower pace, like it was a rom-com or not like just like a romance. You know what I'm saying? Danny and Sandy meet on the beach, a liminal space, not land, not sea, a threshold, right? So Danny asks Sandy, tell me about it, stud, right? She laughs. It's innocent, timeless. This isn't a beginning. It feels like a memory already being replayed. The beach is one of the oldest storytelling symbols for death and rebirth. In myth, souls cross water to the afterlife. In psychology, the ocean represents the unconscious. And Sandy's entire story begins right at the edge. Then Danny leaves, summer ends, and Sandy sings Summer Lovin', Had Me a Blast. Not having, had me a blast. Past tense. And in that exact same song, it's called Summer Nights. That's where everybody gets offended, where they say, did she put up a fight? It's because she's singing about drowning. She's fighting for her life, not getting graped. Y'all need to get out of your heads and stop messing up films for yourself. Hey, and if you're still here, hit that like. I ain't piss you off. Not all the way yet. We'll see. Let's get back to this theory, because Sandy didn't make it. Now, another thing that supports this theory is Rydell High. It just seems like a world that isn't real. Like when Sandy arrives at Rydell High, reality breaks its own rules. You know, everyone sings, not emotionally, but literally. You know, conflicts resolved through choreography. Bullies dance. Authority figures perform musical numbers. This isn't how the world works, but it is how dreams work. Rydell High feels less like a school and more like a constructed stage, a place where Sandy is trying to make sense of herself. Notice how Sandy doesn't really change the world changes for her. She doesn't adapt. Reality reshapes itself until it fits her emotional needs, and that's really just not growth. It's just wish fulfillment, and she's in that realm. Now let's talk about Danny. Danny isn't consistent. He's not a person really, he's more like a projection. Like on the beach, he's gentle. At school, he's cruel, then romantic, then ashamed, then devoted. And if you notice things about characters that aren't real, if you ever watch a movie and they're just not consistent, but they really should be, and there's no reason for them to be so inconsistent, then chances are they're probably not real in someone's head, things like that. Like he shifts depending on what Sandy needs him to be, as if his actions are dictated by her thoughts. That's because Danny isn't fully real. He's not a boy growing up. He's a memory being edited real time. So Sandy doesn't remember Danny as he was. She remembers him as she wishes he could be. So that's why when I hear people say like, oh, that offended me, a girl literally wanted him to act however he's acting. Her brain, as she's passing on, is making these things happen real time, which is why she sings hopelessly devoted to you. Crazy shit to say, but not lovingly, not healthily, hopelessly devoted to you. Because devotion without hope is what happens when nothing can change anymore. So that's nutty, because if nothing can change anymore, that means reality stopped. The only way you could stop reality and to still move time is to be in limbo, which means you're in passing and she's dying. Here's another reason why Rydell High, the high school, just does not seem like a real place. Like, I don't know, there's a tone problem. It just never feels grounded. Ask yourself this, right? Why does Greece feel like so nostalgic for something that never existed? The 1950s in Greece aren't real history. They're idealized. No racial tension, no war trauma, no real consequences. It's a world where teen pregnancy becomes a joke, where danger resolves into dance, where identity crises end with costume changes. That's not realism, that's comfort, which comes when you're dying and in passing. And comfort is what the mind creates when it's trying to soften something unbearable, like death. Hey, and if you like what you're hearing, hit that like, why if you're not already, it's live. You heard that last take? That was nutty, okay? Crazy. Let's get back to this. All right, so let me give you the theory in full. Here is the full theory, right? Sandy dies at the beach. Whether it's drowning, a sudden medical emergency, or an accident, it doesn't matter. Unless Danny killed her, then it kind of matters, but that's a whole nother conspiracy for a whole nother video. But what matters is that she never left that moment. Everything after is her mind's final story. Rydell High is not a school, it's a waiting room. Pretty much like the Breakfast Club's library, right? Each character represents a fragment of Sandy's unresolved fears. The pink ladies, her anxiety about fitting in. Rizzo, kind of her fear of becoming cynical. Frenchie, I love Frenchie, her fear of failure. And Danny is her unfinished love. The musical numbers are emotional processing. They're not events. It's literally her brain's way of trying to make sense of what's happening to her, but not having reality to bank on anymore. And then we reach the ending, and Danny and Sandy don't drive away, they rise. The car lifts into the fucking sky. The most blatant metaphor in the film. No explanation, no reaction, because this isn't escape, it's departure. The final lyric isn't about love continuing. It's about we'll always be together. Not we'll try, not we'll see. Always, because time is ended. But let's talk about that rise, right? Let's talk about that ascension in that car at the end, because let's be honest, I don't know. I think it's disguised as joy, considering it is the official, hey, the red car ascending is equivalent to Bender throwing his fist in the air at the end of the Breakfast Club. And if you don't know what I'm saying or what I mean, I'm gonna leave a link to my Breakfast Club theory in the description, so that'll explain everything. Now back to this flying car in Greece. It's disguised as joy. Let's be for real. A flying car doesn't belong in Greece. It breaks the rules of the world unless the world was never real to begin with, right? Cars symbolize freedom. And you see that in many scenes, because cars is a big thing for them. The sky symbolizes the afterlife. Sandy doesn't get older. Sandy doesn't face consequences. She doesn't return home. She leaves fucking upward, dude. And everyone smiles because this isn't tragedy for her. It's peace. Again, Breakfast Club. And I ain't even gonna lie, I done said club so many times. Let me know if I should do a Fight Club video, bro. But we all know the Fight Club, obviously. But let me know. Put in the comments and like this video, because you're weird. And this whole theory, all of it can be broken down very simply. It's just Greece sells itself as joy, I guess. Which is why it starts as joy and ends as joy, right? But beneath the leather jackets and hand jobs is something way quieter. It's a story about a girl holding on to love so tightly that her mind builds a universe where it never ends. Sandy didn't get a future, so she imagined one, a perfect one, in her eyes. And if that sounds dark, remember the final line. That's the way it should be. Or maybe it's just the way it had to be. And back to you offended motherfuckers. If y'all are offended, get mad at Sandy. She's dreaming it up. She's the writer. So lock in. And if you're jiving with this theory, then you can hit that like. You feel me? Why have you not already? You know what I'm saying? It's just touchscreen and shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, if you're not jiving with the theory, put it in the comments why not and or how not. And let's get back to this, because if you look very closely, watch Sandy's face in the final moment. She isn't excited. She isn't surprised, but she is calm, awfully calm. There's no fear when the car lifts into the sky, just acceptance. Because once you die, there's nothing left to fear. Like someone who already knows where they're going. In stories, fear belongs to the living. Peace belongs to those who are done struggling. Sandy doesn't look like a girl who's starting a new chapter. She looks like someone closing a book. You feel me? And maybe that's why the movie never shows what happens next, because there is no next. This is next. Me elaborating on what's supposed to be next is the next. There is no next. She dies. And that's the theory. But the question Greece never asks is, why does everything work out too perfectly? When things are just going too perfectly, something is amiss every time. That's just life. Why does love win without cost? Things like, why is identity resolved with costume change? Things like that. Reality bending instead of pushing back. Those questions. But that's because it's not a story about growing up. It's a story about holding on. And maybe Greece isn't asking you to believe the theory, but instead, it's just asking you the same thing Sandy was asking herself. If you could live forever in one perfect memory, would you? And if you could, which one? And I think we got the answer to that with Greece in movie form. So Let me know how you feel about this theory. You know, did it shake any boots? Did it tickle any toes? You know what I'm saying? Put in the comments what else I should get to. Let me know how you feel about it. If you liked it, didn't like it, what's wrong, right? I don't care. I'm going to interact. You know how it go. Be ready for the next one. Stay smooth.